Yo, why you always arguing with me?
Yeah.
I've seen your comments and videos.
Me too.
If you don't believe in God, then why do you talk about him so much?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I don't believe in Santa Claus.
Nope.
I don't believe in Bigfoot.
Nuh-uh.
And you don't see me making videos about them.
Nada.
I don't believe in the Tooth Fairy, and you don't see me arguing about the Tooth Fairy all the time.
He doesn't believe in the Tooth Fairy.
You know what I bet it is?
Huh?
You hate God.
Yup.
You're mad at God.
Amen.
Did something bad happen to you?
Well,
Or maybe it's just because you know God's gonna judge you.
that is brilliant.
Atheists just hate God.
I want you inside me.
As nature reclaims abandoned American homes, as our infrastructure crumbles and our science standards fall behind, 4,000 new tax-exempt churches spring up in America every year, not for the Tooth Fairy, but for this so-called God. There's hundreds of thousands of them, outnumbering schools, stores, restaurants, museums. These churches fill my neighbors' heads with notions of God, a God who's everywhere all at once, but they have to go to the church to give him money. Curious. And then they come knocking on my door with their book, waking me up every weekend, not to tell me about the Tooth Fairy, but to tell me about God, to tell me how broken and unworthy I am. If all this were done in the name of the Tooth Fairy, might you have something to say about it? The book of this supposed God is the best-selling book of all time, not because people want to read it, but because it gets pushed upon everybody. Under every pew, shoved in every hotel room drawer, given freely to children, grasped in the sweaty grip of every preacher on the street corner with his bullhorn, waxing poetic about my impending torture. There it is, written by people no different than you, telling us how and what to believe. And they're not talking about the Tooth Fairy, but if they were, might you have something to say about it? You say America was built upon Christian values, not Tooth Fairy values, and few politicians are considered electable without an obligatory "God bless America," no different than it appears upon countless billboards and bumper stickers placating the masses who need you to be like them, unlike Tooth Fairies. Our lives are governed by these politicians, whose policies are dictated by the God-believing majority, not the Tooth Fairy-believing majority. But if it were, might you have something to say about it? Because these politicians profess to believe in the same good and just God as you, of course we would expect them to behave most ethically. But do they? Of course not. Despite that, it's the non-believers who aren't trusted. Maybe that's because of the slander spread about us from self-proclaimed fair and balanced news all the way to the book of Romans, the propaganda of ages past, which they parrot, often without thought or empathy. Or maybe it's because we dare to object. Is that really so outlandish? After all, if the situation were reversed, might you have something to say about it? Now, I could give countless examples of impositions that might cause me to talk about a God I don't believe in, but in the end, what if it simply interests me, as it did Epicurus, who lived centuries before Jesus? Not to mention the countless skeptic saints who actually played a part in shaping the God you believe in through the desperate rebuttals they received. Now, I know I'm not oppressed. I'm no victim. Maybe that's because I choose not to be. But as I see many Christians crying about their persecution simply because they can't be the even greater imposition they want to be, I can't help but shake my head and wonder how in the world they would cope with an extra mile in my shoes. Believer, I don't talk about God because I know He exists. I talk about God because I know you exist.
I want you inside me.
Okay, can you do me a favor? Come through.